An Arab terrorist rammed his vehicle at high speed into a bus stop full of people in Jerusalem on Friday, killing 2 children and a 20-year-old Israeli man. While most of the world has condemned this attack, the Palestinian people themselves are hailing him as a hero. Israel's response to this attack is to legalize 9 Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria, as well as build 10,000 additional homes. Stay tuned because I'm also going to show you an epic video of the IDF going undercover to arrest a wanted terrorist in a Palestinian village. And we actually have some actual footage of the Iron Dome shooting down a rocket from Gaza. I'm Josiah, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Welcome back to the show, guys. First off, you know the drill. Make sure to like this video, also subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the Israel Guys. We are coming to you 5 days a week now. We have our newest host, Ben Hilton, who's actually my brother. He's hosting on Friday, so we're coming to you Monday through Friday, every day of the week, with the news from Israel and with the stories you will not hear in the mainstream media about the truth of what is actually happening here in Israel. So if you didn't have reason enough already, maybe that'll give you a reason to subscribe to our channel. We're almost at 60,000. Hopefully after today's show, we'll have hit 60,000 subscribers. We really appreciate it. To all you who are already subscribed, thank you very much. Also, if you share our content around to your friends, family, those who are interested in what's happening in Israel, who you think may be biased by the mainstream media, sharing our content also helps it get out to more people, because that's the goal of us here at the Israel Guys, is to get the truth out to as many people as possible. Share it around the world. Also, follow us on our social media pages. We'd really appreciate that. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those places. Follow us there. Today's video is sponsored by Blessed by Israel. Guys, I don't like reporting on stuff like this, and it's very hard for me to bring this kind of news on the show here at the Israel Guys, but unfortunately, there's not much being talked about on the world stage when things like this happen in Israel. I'm sure some of you have probably already heard, but there was another terror attack on Friday, a heartbreaking terror attack. There were actually 2 children, a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old boy. They were brothers that were killed, as well as a 20-year-old man who were killed in a car ramming attack, actually at a bus stop in Jerusalem. The 2 boys' father was also critically injured. He's still in critical condition in the hospital. Your prayers be appreciated for him. But unfortunately, we've seen an uptick, per se, of terror in the last several weeks, last months here in Israel. And unfortunately, things aren't changing as far as the response to terror here in Israel with the right-wing government. They're doing a great job of responding harshly to this terror, and then they're going in and arresting the terrorists. The terrorists or their families or those connected with them. They're going in and demolishing the terrorists' homes after the attack occurs, and they're trying to pass legislation to deter more terror attacks from happening in the future. But unfortunately, the response on the world stage, especially in the United States, with our government, the Biden administration, the left-wing government in power in the United States, the response hasn't changed, and unfortunately, their response is continuing to fuel what's happening here in Judea and Samaria with the terror that's occurring. So with this attack on Friday, 1:30 p.m., an Arab Israeli, this guy was Arab Israeli, not a Palestinian citizen, didn't live in the West Bank. He lived in Jerusalem, accelerated down the Golda Meir Boulevard in Jerusalem. There's a video, actually, you can see the car accelerates, swerves across 2 lanes, and rams into the bus stop filled with people waiting for their buses. These guys are waiting. Most of them, since it was Friday afternoon, were on trying to get on buses to go to either their friends or their families to spend Shabbat. Shabbat is the Jewish Sabbath here in Israel, starts on Friday evening. So most of these guys were waiting for a bus to take them to their families or their extended families or friends' houses to spend Shabbat with them. This car, high speed, rams into this bus stop. 6-year-old Yaakov Paley and his 8-year-old brother Asher and their father were all hit by this vehicle, all injured very badly. The 6-year-old Yaakov and another victim who was hit badly, a 20-year-old Alter Shlomo Lederman, they both injured horribly, and they both died very shortly after the attack. Horrible, very sad. Yaakov's older brother, Asher, who was 8 years old, so the 6-year-old passed away pretty soon after the attack, or very quickly. And then Asher ended up succumbing to his injuries the next day, passed away, I think it was late on Saturday. So both these boys, 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, were killed, as well as this 20-year-old Alter Letterman, who actually, the Letterman had just gotten married. I think it was four months ago, less than 4 months ago. He was there with his wife. Thank God his wife was not hit. But I can't imagine the devastation she must feel now. Her husband, newlywed bridegroom, was killed by this ramming attack there in Jerusalem. The boy's father is in critical condition in the hospital. Last I heard, he's still in critical condition, and they're not sure if he's going to make it. Your prayers would be greatly, greatly appreciated for this family, for the mother, for the rest of the children. All this, I mean, can't even imagine. We have the picture of the two boys. We can throw it up on the screen there. These cute, adorable little boys were hit, killed, life taken out immediately by this crazy Arab terrorist who was going to murder Jews, and this time he succeeded in his attempt. Magen David Adom paramedic Lishai Shemish, who was actually on the scene of the attack, he told Arut Sheva, saying, who was right nearby when it happened, he said, "I was in the car with my wife and children and noticed a car driving fast into the bus stop and crushing the people who are waiting there. I stopped at the side and immediately ran toward the victims. A security person neutralized the terrorists. It was a shocking scene. We saw several victims, including 6 and 8-year-old children who were lying unconscious. We immediately began to triage the victims and provide life-saving treatments. More Magen David Adom teams were immediately at the scene in large numbers and continued treatment while conveying to the hospital. I joined one of the ambulances, and we conveyed a 26-year-old male with a head injury and serious condition to the Shaare Zedek Shaare Zedek Hospital," end quote. That was the paramedic. He was just with his family. He wasn't even in his ambulance or on duty. He was with his family right nearby. He saw what happened. He jumped out and ran to help. And just the horrific scene that was at that place on Friday in Jerusalem. Crazy, crazy. The prime minister, good news, Israel's response, the government response is immediately to arrest the family of the terrorists, question them, see if they were involved, see what kind of situation led to this attack actually happening. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu decided very shortly after the attack to go ahead and seal off the home of the terrorist to demolish it for demolition so they could go ahead and destroy it. It's a big deter. It should be the repercussion of every terror attack, but it's also a deter for more terrorists to commit terror attacks. Arab culture, Palestinian culture is very family oriented. So when things like this happen to your family is also a lot of times arrested and questioned like this, then the terrorist might be less likely to go out and commit a terror attack in the future. The U.S., interestingly enough, and as well they should have, condemned this attack, as well as several European countries came out, some strongly, some less strongly, against the attack, this violence happening in that latest terror attack in Jerusalem. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said, quote, "We strongly condemn today's terror attack on civilians, including children, at a bus stop in Jerusalem and express our condolences to the families of those killed." Thankfully, this is a great statement. Thank you, Antony Blinken, for condemning this violence. Thankfully, he didn't offer condolences to the families of the Palestinian terrorist or the Arab terrorist who was killed, like the State Department normally does. The State Department normally offers condolences to the Palestinian families or the families of the Palestinians and Israelis who were killed. Crazy stuff. Thankfully, he is on target this time, condemning the violence for what it is: crazy, senseless violence. And he didn't offer his condolences to the Palestinian or this Arab man who was killed. The terrorist. He didn't offer his condolences to the terrorist. Germany's Foreign Office said, quote, "Our thoughts are with the families of the victims, and we wish those injured a swift recovery. To deprive terrorism of its breeding ground, political dialogue and more cooperation are urgently needed." Not exactly sure what they meant by that, the German Foreign Office, but also Italy's embassy in Israel issued a statement and said, "Deeply shocked and saddened by the terror attack in East Jerusalem. Our thoughts and condolences go to the families of innocent victims. We strongly condemn this senseless violence." Thank you, Italy, for calling out what it is: senseless violence coming from these Arab terrorists in Israel. French embassy also issued a strong statement condemning the attack. They said, quote, Another attack struck this afternoon in East Jerusalem, a ramming attack that killed at least 2 people and injured a number of people. From the bottom of our hearts, we stand by the relatives of the victims of this cowardly act of terrorism. This violence must stop. And thankfully, these more strong condemnations from these nations, more strong than we have seen previously in other attacks. And I kind of feel like it's probably because there were 2 small children that were killed in this attack. Always, it seems terror is horrible wherever it happens, but whenever there's children involved, I think it definitely hits people a little bit more for what it is and realizes the craziness of what's happening and the craziness of these Palestinian terrorists and these guys. And in this case, it wasn't a Palestinian. This guy was fully Israeli citizen. He was an Arab Israeli citizen. But as you can tell, he was still influenced by the propaganda, by the bias, by the ideology of the Palestinians, and going out and attacking these innocent civilians and attacking and murdering these children. Crazy attack in Jerusalem just on Friday. So we can continue to pray for the victims. I think there was at least 3 or 4 injured in the attack besides those who were killed, and also continue to pray for the father of the 2 little boys and their families, that he would have a complete recovery and the family would receive comfort from this horrible, horrible tragedy. Guys, on Saturday night, so this is after the attack, Gaza shot a rocket into Israel, and actually we have some footage of the Iron Dome taking out the rocket. This is amazing technology that Israel has, their defense systems, and that's what I talked about last week. But Israel, the IDF stands for Israel's Defense Forces. Israel's military is only there for defense, defending their people, saving lives, and keeping the state of Israel well, thriving, and healthy and alive. So the Iron Dome shot down this rocket. We can pull up the video on the screen, and the actually rocket sirens sounded. The IDF only strikes down, interestingly enough, you should know this, the IDF only shoots down rockets that are aimed at civilian centers in Israel. So most of the time it can tell where these rockets are going, and if it's going to an open area, it's not going to shoot off a missile to explode or to shoot down the rocket in the air, because it's going to an open area, and these missiles are very, very expensive for Israel to fire off. So that's what happened. The IDF didn't immediately respond like they normally do in situations like this. There's a lot of speculation as to why that could be. Maybe the government was trying to let things cool down a little bit before they go in and strike back with an attack to try to curb and deter more rockets from being fired towards Israel. But last night, Sunday night, the IDF fighter jets struck an underground Hamas compound in the center of the Gaza Strip. This complex contained raw materials for making rockets. So here's what happened. The IDF or the Hamas shoots a rocket at innocent civilian population centers. The IDF's response, Israel's Defense Forces response, is to go in and take out not people, not shooting into Gaza's civilian centers. They go out and they strike very precisely a weapons factory where they have this storage unit to contain raw materials for making rockets. Those rockets obviously being planned to be shot at innocent civilians in the state of Israel. This is what we're dealing with, the two sides of terrorism versus defense and deterrence against terrorism with the IDF. The IDF spokesperson made a statement and said, quote, "This strike will significantly impede Hamas's intensification and armament efforts. The IDF holds the Hamas terrorist organization responsible for all terrorist activity emanating from the Gaza Strip, and it will face the consequences of the security violations against Israel," end quote. So that's what happened with the Gaza Strip. I think they fired off a few more rockets when the IDF was striking that target inside of the Gaza Strip. But thankfully, all those fell in open areas and nobody was injured. Thank God. He's continuing to protect his people, the nation of Israel. Guys, I'm going to show you actually kind of epic video, in my opinion, of the IDF going undercover into a Palestinian village to arrest a wanted terrorist. This is like something straight out of Hollywood. Pretty cool. But I'm going to show you that in just a second. But I'm first going to tell you about how you can help to fight against the enemies of Israel. Israel's enemies are not only shooting rockets at them, they are also trying and succeeding in many countries to boycott Israel's biblical heartland. It's called BDS, which is Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions. What can you do to fight this? Join the Heartland Challenge. Pick one item that you purchase on a regular basis and commit to only purchasing that item from Judea and Samaria. If you're wondering how in the world can you purchase items made from Judea and Samaria, our friends at Blessed by Israel make it super easy for you. They source incredible boutique products from small businesses located in Judea and Samaria and ship those products right to your doorstep. We've partnered with Blessed by Israel to promote the Heartland Challenge, encouraging supporters of Israel all around the world to commit to only using certain products from Judea and Samaria. So whether it's olive oil, tea, soap, ceramics, or something else, Blessed by Israel is encouraging everyone to buy what you believe in and then share the message with your community and friends. It's time to build and invest in the heartland of Israel. Join the Heartland Challenge and start making a difference today. To find out more, go to blessedbyisrael.com. Again, that's blessedbyisrael.com to find out more. If you use the code INVEST, INVEST, at checkout for $5 off your first order. Again, go to blessedbyisrael.com. Link is in the description below. All right, so here's a video of the IDF going undercover, completely undercover, disguise, into a Palestinian village to arrest a wanted terrorist. So sometimes the IDF, the best way for Israel's army or police to go in and arrest a terrorist is not necessarily to make an operation. If it's a place they can access easily, like this Palestinian village where this one happened, they can go in, if they can access it easily, then they can do something like this, an undercover operation, something like this. Or sometimes they just bring in one Jeep, arrest the guy, and leave. A lot of times in Jenin, where you see a lot of these firefights, anomalous happening, it's very difficult for the IDF to do that. And that's where they ended up getting in larger firefights with the bigger terrorist group. So in this case, pretty cool. It looks basically like something right out of Hollywood. We'll throw up the video right here on the screen. You can see it's security camera footage outside of this store in the village of Kfar Aqab. It's right near to Ramallah. We have two guys walking up towards the top of the screen. The guy has something in his hand. He's walking around. He has a hat on. He's obviously looking. And then you see the terrorist come in at the right corner. He walks right up to him, goes to like give him a hug, and oh, nope, he's been arrested. Another guy runs up, grabs him, and then the third Israeli operative runs in, pulls his weapon to make sure nobody else is going to interfere. Vehicle drives up, perfectly timed. They stuff him in the back seat, this guy, and then they jump in, and they are off again. Perfectly timed, well executed. The IDF undercover forces going in, taking out this man, no violence. And as you can see, the terrorist who walked up, so this is a wanted terrorist that they had on their list. They're trying to find him and arrest him. The guy is so surprised, he doesn't even like resist at all. He's kind of like looking around like, what in the world? They just walk up to him. Obviously, these guys are dressed as locals from the Palestinian village. I thought that was pretty cool. It shows you how capable and how well the IDF executes their missions when they're going out and they're trying to stop and deter terrorism. That's your rare footage of the day. Probably something you haven't seen anywhere else on any of the media. The IDF going in and stopping a terrorist, arresting a terrorist without any violence, any incident whatsoever, without a major firefight or anything that a lot of times takes place in the larger cities with the bigger terrorist cells. All right, guys, here is your, what did we call it last week? Fake news, misinformation tweet for the day. So again, I was on Twitter today and I came across this tweet about the wife of the terrorist who rammed into the bus stop the other day. This video has a video of IDF forces standing outside this Arab home, and then police walking out with a woman in handcuffs, Arab woman in handcuffs, very peacefully. They're not touching her, they're not pushing her, anything. She's walking peacefully along with them. The caption, the person who tweeted this said, "Israeli troops raid the home and arrest the wife of Palestinian," I'm not going to say his name, but the terrorist, who just 2 hours after they killed him. So it's saying Israeli troops raid the home, arrest the wife of this terrorist just 2 hours after they killed him. Obviously, they didn't call him a terrorist. They said his real name, which we're not going to do here on the show. But that is the whole of the tweet. Israeli troops raid the home and arrest the wife of this man who just 2 hours ago was killed by the Israeli forces. 2 hours ago, they didn't mention at all that he was killed while ramming his car into a bus stop full of people, killing a 6-year-old, killing an 8-year-old, 2 brothers, injuring their father, injuring many more people, killing a 20-year-old Israeli man who had just gotten married several months before. They didn't mention any of this. They just said they're arresting his wife after they killed him just 2 hours before. Somebody responded in the comments to this tweet and said, "Women and children killers, troop of Satan on earth." Obviously, hater. But how on earth can they say this? Maybe they don't know the real facts. Maybe they weren't given the information. But this is right after this terrorist had killed children. I don't know how they can call the IDF women and children killers. They're going in, arresting the wife of this man. Obviously, they're going to take her in for questioning. She'll probably be released within a day or two after questioning her and finding out if she had anything to do with this terrorist attack. Somebody else said, "Blank terrorists, leave women alone." Obviously, these guys have no idea what's going on, or if they do, they're completely and extremely biased against what is happening here in Israel, against the things going on. Real quick, we're running out of time, but I'm going to tell you about Israel's response to terror here in Israel and the Jewish response in general to bad things that happen against them and terror attacks against them. Israel's security cabinet unanimously decided yesterday in their meeting to legalize 9 Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. This is extremely, extremely good news. Unfortunately, this happened a lot of times. The only times this happened is on the tail of a terror attack or a terror wave like this. In this case, the same. But the point is that Israel is responding to this evil, to this innocent attack on life, this attack on innocent life, with more life, with establishing new communities. We're legalizing, in this case, these Jewish communities inside of Judea and Samaria, which equals more life. Also, Bezalel Smotrich, excuse me, Bezalel Smotrich, who is over the civil administration in the defense ministry of Israel's government, he had just announced yesterday as well, Sunday, that he's going to push forward plans to legalize or to construct 10,000 new homes in Judea and Samaria. So not only are they going to legalize these 9 Jewish communities who are already established and the world would call them illegal, but they're going to build 10,000 new homes inside of Judea and Samaria. So this is very good news. Make sure and share that around. Israel's response to what's happening is more life. Unfortunately, according to the official Palestinian Wafa news agency, a spokesperson for the Palestinian Authority chief Mahmoud Abbas condemned this decision to legalize these communities and to build 10,000 new homes. They condemned this decision as a provocation that would lead to further escalation. So basically, Mahmoud Abbas is saying this is a provocation, and this is going to lead to more escalation, saying if you do this, if you legalize these 9 communities, and if you build these 10,000 new homes in Judea and Samaria, we are going to go out and we are going to kill more Jews. If the world doesn't understand that simple fact, that this is what the Palestinians stand for, then there's never going to be a peace, or what do you call it? There's never going to be a coexistence, but with a Palestinian state and an Israeli state, because as long as the Palestinian response to Israel existing, the Palestinian response to Israel existing, as long as that response is terror, killing Jews, murdering children, then I'm sorry, there's no way that a Palestinian state can exist alongside the state of Israel, when their whole charter is to wipe Israel off the mat and to kill innocent life. Guys, these facts are simple when you really think about it. Don't complicate it, and don't listen to the media when they're trying to tell you otherwise, that things are complicated. Craziness, fake news, lies are being spread like crazy all over the world, not just on social media, though, in our own governments and our politicians, constantly those who are not informed or refuse to see the truth. Guys, share this is Israel's response to terrorism, bringing new life, not responding with more violence or anything like that. They're responding by building new homes in Judea and Samaria. Incredible, incredible thing. As always, subscribe, get the conversation going in the comments below, and tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back every Monday through Friday with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.